I'm going to tell you. And Fleet said, if we're going to help people, we've got to have a picture of the mind. So he said, this is a picture of the mind. Now, I think that's the greatest idea I've ever learned. That's called the stick person. And you'll see the big circle at the top has a line right through the center. On the top half of the line is the conscious mind. And on the bottom half is the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind and the conscious mind working together express themselves through that small circle on the bottom that we call the body. The body is the instrument of the mind. Before the body does something, it has to happen in the mind. We're working from a higher to a lower potential. There's a power flowing to and through us that has no limits. The only limit placed on the power is the limit that's placed on the form through which it's flowing. It's something like electricity. Look at a light bulb for a moment. That is not electricity. That's the expression of electricity. See, the only limit placed on electricity is the limit that's placed on the form through which it's flowing, namely the transformer or the bulb. If you want more light, put in a bigger bulb. Well, if we want more action, plug in a bigger idea. Now, he said, this drawing represents the mind. The top half represents the conscious mind, the bottom half represents the subconscious mind, and the small circle represents the body. Now, I'm going to take the conscious mind off for a minute. Now you just have the subconscious. That is how you arrived on the scene. Your subconscious mind was wide open. Your subconscious mind has no ability to reject anything. Whatever you turn over to it, it will accept. You see, as a little baby, you arrive on the scene like that. That's how language is learned. That's how you pick up all the idiosyncrasies of the people around you. Now, there was genetic conditioning prior to you arriving on the scene. That's why you look so much like your relatives. But then you arrive, you learn the language of the people that surround you. If there's 4 or 5 languages spoken around you, you learn all 4 or 5 languages. There's many places in the world where babies learn 4 or 5 languages before they even go to kindergarten. But as you start to get towards time to go to school, the psychic barrier starts to come up and the conscious faculties begin to develop. And that's when you start thinking for yourself. But you see, what to think has already been programmed. See that X in the subconscious mind with the puffy little cloud around it? That's the paradigm. And of course, that puts the body in an X-type vibration. Now there's a power flowing into your consciousness. It never stops. And as the power flows in, you build ideas. And what kind of ideas you build? X-type ideas. Why? Because they're in harmony with the paradigm. If you start to think thoughts that are not in harmony with the paradigm, it causes quite a bit of discomfort. Now think. If you've never jumped out of a plane, go up in a plane and contemplate jumping out of it. You'll start to feel very uncomfortable. You see, it's not an X idea. It's not an X idea. Now, it could be that you get involved with that, but not as long as you're thinking X-type ideas. Now, do you see, your life to this point has been controlled by a paradigm, and so you've been thinking thoughts that are in harmony with the paradigm. That is why we keep getting the same results over and over and over again. There's no secret to this. It's predictable. If you watch people, you'll watch how they move. There's habit patterns being expressed, behavioral patterns that's producing the same result. Now let's move this ahead. I call that state bondage. Now we're going to move ahead and we're going to move into a state that I call reason. Remember I said that power flows in and you can make anything out of it you want? Well, there's a why idea floating out there. What is the why idea?